Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back. We're making our way towards the end of Look Both Ways. Our next story is called Satchmo's Master Plan. But before I talk about that story, I really wanted to give a huge thank you to those of you that turned in the poems. They were amazing. I loved reading them. I loved sharing them with my family. So many of you did talk about family, you talked about friendship, you talked about loyalty. And it was just really wonderful for me to get a deeper understanding and a deeper insight into uh, how you view those topics. So thank you. The artwork was phenomenal. Like I said, the words were great. It's those times that make me really appreciate being an English teacher when I get to read your stories. So thank you. It was awesome. All right, let's turn our attention to Satchmo's master plan. Our main characters in this story, we have our main character who is Satchmo. His name is Satchmo Jenkins. This is a young man who has an irrational fear of dogs. I think it's irrational. I leave it up to you to determine whether you think it's justified or you think it's irrational. Okay. There's a young man named Clancy. This is Satchmo's friend from an old neighborhood who was with him when he was bitten by a dog. And then there is an older gentleman who lives in the community, and his name is Mr. Jerry. So those are our main characters. We do have other characters such as Satchmo's mother, who makes an appearance, but those are really the three that we're going to pay attention to. Okay, well, what is Satchmo's master plan? Well, this young man experiences a horrific event in another neighborhood years ago with a dog. And Satchmo vows to never allow that event or that sort of attack to happen again. So he makes a plan, and a very detailed plan. So if he ever comes in contact with a dog and that dog is threatening at all, Satchmo knows exactly what he's going to do to be able to get away. And that's really his challenge, is to make it home and survive. And I think that word survive is really interesting because the chances of you getting attacked by a dog, I don't want to say they're insignificant, but they're not, it's not like it's not like it's a great threat when you walk out your door. Okay. For most of us, it's not a fear that we have at all. But for Satchmo, it's a fear that he carries with him every day. And so every day is a survival mode. So how's he going to make it home and survive? Because, look, he has convinced himself that he is going to be attacked by a neighborhood dog on the way home. He thinks this is going to happen. He's created this whole different reality in his mind based upon a traumatic experience. And he does have a scar on his leg from the dog attack. Like I said, it occurred many years ago in a different neighborhood. And he has developed, as I mentioned earlier, I think, an irrational fear of dogs. You might think it's justified. I just think it's irrational. And unfortunately, to make matters worse, his mother, she's a dog lover. So there's some internal tension there, or even external tension. I mean, how would, if you had that kind of fear of an animal and your parent really wanted to bring a dog into the house, how would that affect you? How would you deal with that? For some of you who have anxiety or who have experienced anxiety, you might have at least a decent understanding of the tension that Satchmo might experience if his mom brought a dog home. In addition to his mom being a dog lover, she tells him that the attack was nothing more than a misunderstanding. And I'm not sure that the word misunderstanding is the most appropriate word to tell a child that had experienced trauma. Because how is a child really going to be able to comprehend that it's like, oh, the scar that's on my leg, well, that was just a misunderstanding. The dog didn't mean to do it, just did it. Like I said, I don't know if that's the most appropriate word, but that's what she calls it. And furthermore, to go along with that, Satchmo's mother has also encouraged a neighbor, Mr. Jerry, to get a dog to help him deal with a traumatic event. So Satchmo is just, it's not working out for this guy. Okay. And much of this chapter is a look into his ramblings in his own head, the realities that he creates, the anxieties, the stories he tells himself as to how he's going to survive the day. He talks through how he's going to run away, dive in a swimming pool, jump over a car, etc. He has this specific master plan, how he is going to survive and get home. And in the end of the chapter, I really think embodies this word. It's a figurative language word. It's called irony. And I'm not sure how many of you understand or really know what irony is. So here's an example. Don't make fun of me too much, okay? Promise? All right, here we go. Irony. Your English teacher does not know how to read or write. If that's true, yikes. No, it's not true. But that would be irony. The person who is in charge of trying to help you understand literature, vocabulary, sentence structures, grammar, punctuation, etc., does not know how to read or write. That's not what you would normally think. You would normally think an English teacher has a decent or at least above average understanding of how literature works, how to teach a book. If that person didn't know how to read or write, that would be a shock. That's irony, is that what you expect to happen does not occur. The smartest kid in class did not graduate high school. Shocking, right? You would think the smartest kid in class would easily graduate. Okay, so that's irony. Is again, Satchmo has this irrational fear of dogs, and the chapter ends in an entirely different way. So let's get to what I'm going to ask you to do for the remainder of this period on Tuesday, and then all of the period on Wednesday. Okay. I don't have the ability to do a poem for this chapter, even though I would love to. If we were going to write a piece of poetry on fear, I feel like I would really need to be there with you to walk you through how to do this. And so I'm not going to leave that up to Mr. Jacob and Mr. Ramirez. So I did create reading questions and a thinking clearly. Now, I know it's not the most fun activity in the world, but it is English. Okay. So 6 reading questions, 1 point each. So that's a total of 6 questions, 6 points. The thinking critically is worth 4 points. Now, I know I ask for 7 to 9 sentences. And what I've come to realize is that even for those of you that do turn it in, 7 to 9 sentences seems to be a lot. So I'm going to ask you just to answer the question to the best of your ability. I doubt that you could answer the thinking critically question in 1 or 2 sentences, but I think you could probably answer it in 3 to 4 or 4 to 6, somewhere around there. And the thinking critically question deals with this. You know, people who suffer from anxiety experience intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about everyday situations. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I don't think it's that hard to open up this device and find some bummer news on it. I don't think it's that hard, okay? It's actually fairly easy. And so how does Mr. Reynolds show the reader that Satchmo is suffering from anxiety? That's what I'm asking you to answer. I don't need page numbers. I just need you to tell me how the author is doing that, okay? There will be a write on Thursday. Not going to be super long. Again, I'm just going to ask you to answer the question. But that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have any questions about your grade, feel free to email me or have Jacob email me and I'll respond. And if you're trying to turn in some missing work, you're more than welcome to turn them in. I will regrade them for full credit. I don't take points off. If you're willing to do the work and demonstrate your knowledge and try, I'm not going to deny you the credit that you deserve. Okay? I hope you're well. I hope everyone's doing great. And I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye, everybody.